For every swing, every moment, the Milwaukee Brewers fight. It's not just about hitting the ball, it's about leaving a legacy.
The silence in the hallways of American Family Field is deafening right now for early January, and that unnerving calm was suddenly shattered by a report that made my stomach turn. We are talking about Freddie Peralta, our fastball Freddie, being openly listed as a trade chip by none other than Jon Heyman. And if you want real access to what's happening behind the scenes of this franchise, without the corporate filter of the mainstream media, you need to subscribe to the channel right now, because the front office won't tell you the truth until the ink is dry and the player is already on the plane. Here's the situation. Peralta is coming off a monster 2025 season, finishing 5th in Cy Young, voting with a 2.70 ERA. And the idea that the Milwaukee Brewers are even listening to offers is a slap in the face to anyone who believes this championship window's open. I saw Heyman's report in the New York Post, and he doesn't just throw names around. He placed Peralta on the same shelf as Edward Cabrera, and even shockingly, Tarik Skubal, suggesting the trade market is about to explode because free agency is moving at a snail's pace. The logic behind this makes me furious and fascinated at the same time, because it exposes exactly how our front office operates on the edge of calculated risk. We have a 29-year-old pitcher in the absolute prime of his physical shape who threw almost 177 innings last season and proved to be the ace we always hoped for. But because he is entering the final year of his contract before free agency, Matt Arnold's office sees a walking dollar sign instead of a trophy. It's the classic Milwaukee dilemma: sell the asset now to maximize the return in prospects, or keep the guy to try and take down the Dodgers. Heyman points out that the slow market is forcing teams to look at trades, and with elite pitching scarce, Peralta's value has never been higher. I understand the cold math. Of course I do. We would receive an absurd return package that could stock the farm system for the next 5 years, but I don't pay for tickets to watch the farm system. I pay to see wins in October. What worries me is the company Peralta was placed with in this report. When you are mentioned alongside Ketel Marte and Mackenzie Gore as available, it signals to the entire league that the store is open. And make no mistake, the phones in Milwaukee are ringing. The front office can argue that this is smart asset management, cutting the risk of losing the player for nothing at the end of 2026, but trading your best pitcher after a Cy Young caliber season sends a terrible message to the locker room. We are telling the players that future profit is more important than present victory. And let's not forget the context of the National League. The Dodgers are back-to-back World Series champions. They are the Death Star we need to destroy. And you don't blow up the Death Star by trading your Luke Skywalker for spare parts. My initial read is that the Brewers are testing the waters to see if someone gets desperate enough to pay an irrefutable price, but this poker game is dangerous. If the trade doesn't happen, where is Freddie's head at, knowing he was shopped around like a used car? That uncertainty is toxic. If we look at the composition of our rotation, without Freddie, the picture changes completely and optimism starts to look like delusion. Yes, we brought Brandon Woodruff back with the qualifying offer, and seeing Woody on the mound is something that warms the heart of any Brewers fan, but betting all our chips on his health after his injury history is a game of Russian roulette I'm not willing to play. The front office's theory seems to be that the emergence of the kids, Quinn Priester, the electric Jacob Misiorowski, and the surprisingly consistent Tobias Myers gives us the wiggle room to deal Peralta. I vehemently disagree. Misiorowski has elite stuff, that kind of fastball that makes batters look ridiculous, but he is still raw, still needs to prove he can handle a full season workload in the MLB without losing effectiveness, or getting hurt, putting the pressure of being the replacement ace on a kid's shoulders while we try to compete with the war machine in Los Angeles is asking to burn out a prospect. The depth we have with Chad Patrick or Logan Henderson is interesting for roster filling, not for leading a playoff rotation. Think about the ideal rotation for 2026. Peralta and Woodruff as the 1-2 punch, followed by the youth of Misiorowski and Priester. That is a rotation that wins series in October. If you take Peralta out of the equation, suddenly Woodruff needs to be the savior. Misiorowski needs to be the immediate number 2, and our margin for error completely disappears. Heyman's report suggests that the theories for the slow pace outnumber the stars, which means GMs are paralyzed, afraid of overspending or making the wrong trade, and that is exactly where the Brewers usually act. They love to be the team that makes the smart move when no one is looking. But in my view, keeping Peralta is the only viable option if the goal is to lift the trophy and not just hang a division champion pennant. His contract is extremely team-friendly considering the production he delivers. Trading a 2.70 ERA pitcher who costs a fraction of what free agents are asking is the kind of money ball that exhausts the fan base. We've seen this movie before, where we sell high and are left with the promise of the future, but the window for Yelich, Contreras, and Woodruff himself won't last forever. The veteran core needs certainty, not more 19-year-old prospects who might play in 2029. The mention of Peralta in these trade rumors now in January shows that the front office isn't convinced that this current group is enough to go all the way, or worse, that they are prioritizing financial sustainability over sporting glory. If Heyman is right and Peralta is moved in the coming weeks, we are essentially throwing in the towel on the fight for the real 2026 title before pitchers and catchers even report to Arizona. It is a bet on competitive mediocrity where we are good enough to reach the playoffs but never strong enough to win it all. Keeping Freddie Peralta isn't just a tactical question, it's a statement of intent. It is telling the league, the Dodgers, and mainly us fans that the Brewers are here to fight with the big dogs now. I want to see this rotation whole. I want to see what Woodruff and Peralta can do together with this new crop of talent supporting them. And any move that dismantles that now is a gross error. Do you prefer to see the team secure the future with prospects or go all in with Peralta in 2026? Comment down below, because I'm reading everything.